Where does it begin?
Baseball!
Baseball, Game 7.
When does a job become more than a job?
3 straight pitches, changeup, curveball. There was a look in his eye, and it was special. That, to me, was the series, that inning right there.
How does one go from broadcaster to trailblazer?
And she became the first female analyst in MLB postseason history in 2015. Mother, congratulations.
Jessica Mendoza has been blazing a trail at ESPN for 14 years.
They had their backs against the wall, the wild card game. Do you remember that? It feels like months ago. They were down 3-1 against the Dodgers. This team, when they had to fight, they did.
And during the past 5, her torch has gotten mighty hot.
I'm asking you right now, Game 7, who you got, Jessica? Who you got?
Jessica Mendoza, always good to have you here with us. Can you just share what it's been like to be in the middle of all of this attention?
Game time, Red Sox, Yankees.
Biggest thing you want to do as a hitter, you want to have a little bit of rhythm, right?
Tell me a little bit about growing up.
I just knew sports, that's all I ever wanted to do. I idolized my dad, so really I remember being at a young age, like anything I could do to impress him. What was really cool about my dad, though, is even though he coached all men, he had 3 daughters and a son, and I never grew up feeling like, oh, I'm the girl, so I should be doing this. It was like, if you could pick up a ball and throw it, you were gonna play. And we were never treated differently. There was this idea of just being the best version of yourself. So it wasn't even that I was competitive so much. I mean, I wanted to win, yes. But it was like, if I knew I showed up to a game and I wasn't at my best, if I struck out and I knew I could have given more in the weight room or in batting practice or whatever it was, staying after practice, that would eat at me. So it was this inner competitiveness that I still have today, where it's like, I can't handle showing up to be on air and feeling like, okay, you know what, I didn't actually read all of the notes, or I didn't do all the, it just eats at you. You want to be the best. And it doesn't mean that I have to like look at 100 people in the room and say I'm better than every single one of you. I need to look in the mirror and know that I'm better, I'm the best version of this.
Where does broadcasting come into the picture, and how did you get into that?
What led me to broadcasting was actually I was getting interviewed, and it was an ESPN interview, and they, were just talking to me about the game and whatever, and I just had a lot of energy, and they were like, you have this enthusiasm and this passion, like, have you ever thought about being on air? And I laughed, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, put a camera, a mic on me, like, no filter, I'll get fired first day. There's no way,
No one in baseball right now is hitting the ball more consistently hard, 94 miles an hour exit velocity off the bat than Devers.
Obviously things go well at ESPN, and then tell us how Sunday Night Baseball, how it came about.
Fast. It came quick. Being asked to go on Sunday Night Baseball, my first reaction was like, Jess, you're not necessarily ready for this. But those are the things that I just feel like the coolest things. You might not always have all your ducks lined up in the row. You might not have the 2 months to prepare. You might not feel like, okay, now I'm ready. I don't think timing always works out like that. Sometimes you have to jump into things that you don't even know what you're jumping into, but you're gonna figure out when you land. I definitely could have epically failed on that first Sunday night.
Everything I read about you, like the word that comes up is trailblazer. Being the first woman in the Sunday night booth and doing all these things and being labeled a trailblazer for women, what comes along with that title, and how do you feel about that?
I don't think about so much the title as much as the responsibility. I definitely don't walk around and think of myself as anything beyond what I'm doing in my work, because to me, it's not so much important that I did it once, but that I stay and that I'm able to continue to do it well.
Excited for tonight?
Game 7, are you kidding me? Well, come on, this is what the sport needs, it's what you want.
The amount of men that have come up to me that said, I didn't think you belonged here. I did not want a woman's voice in this sport, and I had a really bad reaction to you. But then I watched a game with my daughter, and I saw her, and then I actually listened to you, and I realized that you do belong here, and that this is something that's huge for our sport, to not just reach a lot more men, but to actually reach everyone who might want to watch a baseball game. but maybe their voice was never heard.
Well, I think it's very cool, and I think it's cool how you just articulated it with men too, because I think everyone first thinks, I've got daughters, I want them to see Jessica Mendoza, but it does make you take inventory of your own thoughts, beliefs, watching sports.
Well, and I have 2 boys, and I think about how I even got to this position. It was all men hiring me. It was men seeing and understanding, and as much as you want equality and you want women to be in the same seats as men, I think we have to all kind of do this together. I'm not just here to impact girls, but I want men to see this, boys to see this, and understand what a strong woman looks like, and honestly, just what someone that's doing their job right looks like.
When does a job become more than a job? How does one go from broadcaster to trailblazer? When they stand the test of time. When they get knocked down, but refuse to stay down. And when they face the noise, the criticism, and the hate, and decide to continue anyway.